Morning, everyone. I
Morning.
know we have looked forward to this day to see Mike Partin, the one and only, home of Mike Partin here in Grundy County.
That's funny.
Isn't that funny? I feel like we should have a green sign.
Yeah.
Home of Mike Partin.
Yeah, that'd be a good thing to throw bottles at. Tomatoes.
Well, I think you were the youngest county executive
Yeah.
in the state at that time.
That was a long time ago.
Oh,
A
that
long
was.
time ago.
I was touring the what was it? The armory here, the National
yeah.
Guard Armory, and I think the high school, and was it the county seat as well, the county building as well?
Courthouse.
Those three things.
Yeah.
That was under your
Yeah.
watch. That was super cool.
Yeah, interesting story about the armory. Jim Sasser, who just passed away, United States Senator, former ambassador to China, I guess.
Yeah.
He they were having the groundbreaking for that day, and he called the day before and said, "Hey, I'll be coming up tomorrow. You're gonna be at church." And we were living here on the plateau then, going to the Tracy Church of Christ. I said, "Heck yeah, I think we'll be at church." He said, "Well, I'm gonna come by and go to church with you."
No.
So Senator Sasser came a couple times to church with us there at Tracy City. He loved stopping and being out and about. He'd come by the courthouse all the time. He loved local folks. He'd come, and Keith McBee's dad, Jim Dave McBee.
I miss Keith.
Sasser loved Jim Dave, and he'd go by and see him at his house. I mean, that was the kind of person he was. So.
Well, that was back in the day when it was retail politics. It was.
Yeah, there was no social media to push your agenda. You pressed the flesh and stopped at the stores, and it was a little different time, a little different way to run a campaign.
Well, here you are.
Yeah.
You have risen to the highest ranking chief executive officer of this entire nation for rural co-ops. What does that feel like?
Yeah, I'm pretty excited about it. At our national meeting in Atlanta last week, was elected the national president of America's Electric Cooperatives. So I'm excited. I've worked pretty hard to get to this point. I've been in this business 27 years, and it was a tough battle to get to the top. But my coalition outworked the others and out-politicked them and made it happen.
Well, you're no lax person on retail politics as well, because you know how it's done.
Yeah.
And it's one-on-one.
I love it.
I bet you do.
Yeah, I really do.
How close was the other person?
Yeah, we can't say that.
Okay, we're not.
Yeah.
All right. So what do you do with this?
Yeah, so America's Electric Co-ops, NRECA, the National Electric Co-op Association, we're the trade organization for the 900 plus electric co-ops around the country. We serve roughly 42 million consumers, and we're based in DC. As the chief trade organization, we also manage the pension fund for electric co-op employees around the country. A lot of them do their health care through us as well. So it's there's a lot going on, but it's an interesting time to be in this business. I'm pretty excited. A lot of challenges, but challenges bring a lot of opportunities.
We were talking off before we went on. There's a great need for energy in new ways.
Oh yeah, I've talked about this in the past. But I'm an all the above approach guy. And to meet America's growing need for energy, and it's growing faster than we can keep up in this country as far as generation. A lot of that's driven by data centers and AI that's just coming at this rapid muzzle velocity speed coming to us. And so that all the above approach, where we're going to have to lean into that, that's the only way we're going to be able to meet this demand. And I'm not sure we can at that. And we're working close with the Trump administration to be able to cut through some of the red tape that we faced in the past to try to get some of this generation online. As an all the above approach person, that means a lot of different generation sources. I think solar is a viable source of energy for some folks. Wind in some parts of the country. Um, Nuclear is where I think we're headed in this country for a renaissance. I'm a very pro nuclear person because if you look at base load is when you turn it on, it stays on. And we're not going back to coal in this country until we get to a clean coal technology. I mean, we've got a responsibility to the environment. I mean, we just can't go out and do anything we want to do. So we have to do things responsible. We've been doing nuclear right in this country for a long time, and around the globe as well. So there's no reason it should take 20 years to permit a nuclear plant. Small modular nuclear reactors, that's some of the new nuclear that they're talking about in this country. And TVA is kind of on the forefront with that at the Clinch River site. I think there's a lot of potential there, and we're going to have to do that pretty quick. Demand for electricity because of data centers and because of AI coming so quick, we don't have 20 years to go through the permit process.
We don't, and with technology just zippity doo dying, it's crazy.
Well, if you look at the Department of Energy numbers on data centers alone, they make up about 5% of all energy consumed in this country today, and it took them a decade to get to that point. In the next 3 years, they're looking at data center alone using 12 to 15% of all energy consumed in this country just from data centers, and that speed just going to increase.
So you think that's probably your biggest looming issue?
Absolutely. Yeah. How do we meet the need? We lived through some brownouts or some rolling blackouts here. They weren't brownouts, rolling blackouts.
Yes, they were.
Here a few Christmases ago, and nobody wants to go through that.
Mm-mm. How do you see the TVA, with President Trump and his Doge and all of that? How do you see that affecting TVA?
Yeah, we could talk about President Trump's approach to energy on several levels.
Okay.
And from a national perspective, I'll start there first. I don't think there's anybody that's against trying to find waste, fraud, and abuse. Mm-hmm. I think, kind of being close to the flame, we see this approach of just throwing a hand grenade in the middle of it and seeing what sticks is probably not the best way to govern a country. You and I differ a little bit on that approach, but there are some good things that are taking place. Cutting back on red tape permit reform is something drastically needed in this country. As you look at TVA, there is concern about how the Trump administration will approach TVA. Mm-hmm. TVA works very well. Now, do they get everything right? No. Do you and I get everything right? Absolutely not. But by and large, if you look at TVA's 90-plus year history, they have done a remarkable job in not only meeting our needs in the Tennessee Valley and the 7 states region, but also in things like economic development, mm-hmm. flood control, those kind of issues that are important to us and are part of TVA's mission. There's more to their mission than just power production. Could they get leaner? We all could. But they've got a mission there that I hope that the president doesn't just decide to take apart all at once. It'd be hard to unravel TVA. TVA is government owned. They're owned by the federal government, but they have not taken federal tax dollars in years, 25 years probably, maybe even longer than that. Huh. All the money that TVA takes in is from the ratepayers. They don't get any federal subsidies, even though the assets are all owned by the U.S. government.
That's great.
Yeah, that's absolutely great. That is efficiency, in my opinion. They wean themselves off of the government taking money from the taxpayers, and it's rate based here in the valley. One of the things that does need to take place is TVA has a debt ceiling of $30 billion, and that sounds like a big number, and it is a big number. But if you look at the grand scheme of things about what projects cost nowadays, nuclear plants, you're not going to buy much for $30 billion. And that's if they had zero debt. You know, a utility the size of TVA, $30 billion is a drop in the bucket. I mean, so they're going to have some reform with that number. They can't really operate with the challenges that they've got before them to build nuclear plants, new generation. Michelle, they're talking about in this country, we're going to have to double our energy capacity to meet the growing need. Double. So you've got to be able to think outside the box to be able to meet that, and that's a huge challenge, not only for TVA but for, gosh, the other generators around the country.
Well, it seems that President Trump is pro-energy.
President Trump is pro-energy, which we appreciate tremendously in our business. We got to do that smart. We just can't willy-nilly go out here and throw things on the wall and see what sticks. So we got to be innovative in our approach. The president, his Secretary of Energy is Chris Wright. Okay. And he's a great friend of us. He has Secretary Reynolds is in the Department of Agriculture, or Rollins, sorry. Secretary Rollins, who was with us, by the way, last week in Atlanta. Wow. Secretary Rollins is the new Secretary of Agriculture. We work hand in hand with the Department of Agriculture as well. There's a division there called RUS, Rural Utility Service. And Andy Burke was the past administrator of RUS, and just a great friend of America's Electric Co-ops. Former North Dakota Governor Bergman is the Department of Secretary of Interior. He's another great friend of co-ops. So we work with all these departments all the time. It's there's a lot of policy work. There's a lot of work with elected officials. You know, you take folks like Congressman Desjardins, Congressman Fleischman. We're working with those guys all the time. In the committees that they're working with. Very pro-energy folks, very pro-rural America folks too, which helps. But if you look at the administration, we're working on the policy side as much as we're working on the political side. Department of Interior, and I don't know how much time we got, but
we have as much time as you want.
I'll go through these. Department of Interior. If you look at America's Electric Co-ops, the rural areas that we serve, a lot of lines that we have, especially out west. Out west, the big issue is wildfires. So how do we address wildfires? How do we get in there and cut the right-of-way back? How do we keep our right-of-ways clear and clean? If a tree falls and it starts the fire, are we going to be blamed for burning the town down if it starts from electrical fire? So we've got to work with the Department of Interior, which controls a lot of these lands and a lot of these right-of-ways, to be able to get in there and clean these right-of-ways out, cut the trees back, not let that be an issue. You know, out west, gosh, the wind, we had pretty high winds here this weekend. Yeah. But if you go out west, I mean, it's blowing like that all the time.
All the time.
If the wind stops blowing in some of those areas, folks are going to fall down.
And it's dry.
And it's dry. And it doesn't take much of a spark to start some huge wildfire. And so we've got transmission lines that run all across this national lands that we got to work with the Department of Interior closely to get in there and work through. Of course, the Department of Energy, we work hand in glove with those folks every day on policy issues that affect us. Department of Agriculture, the U.S. Forest Service is under them,
Oh, yep.
which ties back in with the Department of Interior
Yep.
with lands that we're working on with wildfires. And then through RUS, Rural Utility Service. Uh, that's one of the ways that we get funding is through RUS. Plus, in the Biden administration, there were a lot through the Bipartisan Infrastructure Act, a lot of federal dollars that went to electric co-ops around the country for new and emerging technology, battery storage, carbon capture. Part of this all the above approach that we get into. And so we got to make sure the current administration and Doge doesn't try to claw those dollars back. We got to go in there and fight for our members, as a lot of them have already started action on those projects. They were already funded. You can't just take those dollars back. So, in any administration, whether it's Democrat or Republican, we're bipartisan. We're for the little old lady at the end of the line. That's who we're really fighting for. And so some things we champion in administration and some things we push back really hard against. And we, when we, through our PAC, when we give money in D.C., we don't care what party you're from. Are you working for rural ratepayers in this country? At the end of the day, that's who we're fighting for.
Well, and speaking of, we've had some, not to take it back down to, local, but that's what we care about, right? I'm caring about global because it matters. Rates this winter, what?
Yeah. Yeah, you switched gears on me there pretty quick.
Well, I know. It's just,
So a lot of folks were upset with their bills this winter. I mean, there's no question about that. I was not happy with mine. 80 cents of every dollar that we take in here on the local level at TVA, as a TVA distributor, Sequatchie Valley Electric, 80 cents of every dollar goes back to TVA for power cost. So, if you send us $10, 8 of that goes back to TVA. The other 20% is the margin that the local utility works off of. And that's pretty standard across the 153 TVA distributors in the valley. The things that make up the utility bill, there is a fuel cost adjustment in there that TVA has. And it fluctuates monthly. And that has nothing to do with the cost of fuel for their vehicles. It's more of the fuel to generate electricity, whether it's natural gas, whether it's their nuclear fleet, whether it's their coal fleet, if they have to buy energy on the market. So TVA has the capacity to generate 29,000 megawatts of energy at any time if all 8 cylinders are clicking. Young folks won't know what all 8 cylinders clicking are, but for you and I, we understand when somebody says when all 8 are clicking. So when demand calls for it, TVA has to go out on the open market and buy power at whatever the cost may be to meet the need. And that's done all across the country. That's nothing new. So, TVA had a peak of about 34,000 megawatts. So that means they were in the marketplace for 5,000 megawatts of energy. That's a lot of energy. So they have to pay whatever the market is. That's market-based economics. Let the market drive it. So fuel cost in the winter is going to be more. a lot of folks, and we see in this area that heat pumps are kind of the HVAC of choice. Um, when a heat pump gets down below 30 degrees, it's pretty inefficient. There's dual fuel heat pumps where gas will kick in at about 30 degrees. But a lot of these heat pumps are older. If you've got a 15-year-old plus heat pump, my uncle in Altamont, his is 30 years old, and he's raising Cain about his electric bill. Well, Unc, your heat pump's 30 years old. It's pretty inefficient, and when it's 5 degrees and you still got it set on 62 or 68, in his case 72, because he's 90 plus, he likes it pretty warm in there. It's going to run more. Even if you got a gas unit, the fan's going to run more to be able to keep up during those cold times. Now, I would encourage folks, and we just switched providers for our computer system, enterprise solution, mapping, all those kind of things. So I encourage folks to download the Smart Hub app.
Oh, yeah.
And if folks haven't done that, they really should. You can look at your data, your usage, your personal usage, and it lays the temperature right over across it. You can look at I don't have my glasses enough to see my phone to show it, but you can look at your personal energy consumption at your home with the temperature laid across it, and you can see when the temperatures dip, your energy consumption is going to go up. Energy in the Tennessee Valley is 11.5 cents a kilowatt hour, somewhere like that. You're in places like California, it may be 40 cents a kilowatt hour.
Oh, I know.
But that's a great tool to help folks understand their usage. We have a lot of folks also now that do prepay.
That's a great idea.
And what I've seen from folks that do prepay is that their energy consumption is probably 8 to 10% less a month because they're looking at it all the time.
Sure.
They get alerts and they can put $50 on there or 100 or 25 or whatever they want. But they're looking, they make conscious decisions to change what they're doing during those peak times.
Dang it. Well, I know we've been, and I've taken one of your, like tightening the envelope, and you go and you have someone that comes and finds out where your holes are, etc., and how important that is, and new windows and insulation. There's things that we can do, but there are times, I guess, that here you are. If you want to be warm, you got to put it on.
Yeah, that's right, and that's painful.
It's painful.
It doesn't take long to run up $400 or $500 electric bill. I think, and folks were upset. I get that.
Sure.
But if you'll call us, the ladies there in the office will work with you to try to, number one, help navigate through that for you. Work out some kind of payment plan, because that's a big number for folks. And if folks are working with us, we're going to take care of them. That's who we are. But you can't call the office and cuss those ladies out and talk to them like that, because I'm not going to put up with it. I don't. They're not. And I know it's an emotional issue, but you can't talk to people that way. Those ladies are just doing their job. There's nobody there that's trying to steal from anybody. But be kind to people. You may not agree with. You and I disagree on a lot of things, but we're still kind to each other and can talk logical about things. But anyway, that's a topic for another day.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about. I mean, but seriously, we can. Don't be ugly. And I think like with my tourism hat on, none of our business owners will allow folks to talk to their employees like that, and you just can't have that.
No. No, these ladies are just trying to do their job, and I appreciate the job that they do. Uh, working for the public is a tough
It's tough,
assignment.
man. It's tough.
And I think they do a remarkable job. The One of the things that folks can do though, we've got, if they've got an old heat pump that's really inefficient, that sucker's 25 years old. It's really costing you money during those times. We finance heat pumps for folks,
Oh, wow.
and put it right on their electric bill, and you can finance up to 10 years. I mean, you can pay it off early with no penalty, but we can put it on your electric bill, and it works fantastic for a lot of folks. There's a lot of options for folks out there.
You're just there to help.
Yeah.
Just there to help. That's why I try to explain to folks. Do you have like we have a lot of new folks moving in?
Mhm.
Have you find that how do they handle all of this?
Which part?
I don't know. A rural cooperative is different from.
That's right. They may have moved from California, where it's Pacific Power and Light,
Right.
or they may have moved from Atlanta or someplace like that. But I think they appreciate how accessible we are, and we're going to be there to try to solve a problem. If the lights go out, we're rolling. I mean, that's just what we do. Now, folks need to realize, and I'm not making excuses. I think we could improve our system a lot, you know, um, but we do live in a very rural. If you drive down the road, there are a lot of trees. We've got 3,300 miles of line, Michelle, and a lot of times trees are on both sides of that. And nobody wants their trees cut, but nobody wants their lights to go out either. You've got a 40-foot right of way, 20 foot on each side, and an 80-foot tree. You know, things are going to happen. We saw that this past weekend when Palmer had 90 mile per hour winds, and I was out there. Within 30 minutes, Daniel Crabtree had called me, and I was out there pretty quick. And our team was there just ASAP, and nobody stopped working. We had people working through that afternoon, and those guys have been working small outages all day and part of the night before. We worked all that night, all the next day. Bledsoe County was hit a little harder, and our folks worked up there into the next night. I mean, that's just what we do. My employees take a lot of pride in getting the lights back on. Tough assignment, tough job, tough conditions, and but they love it. They take a lot of pride in that. And I think folks that move here, they understand and see our dedication to the community. At the end of the day, no matter what, we want to be a better part of the community, make it a better place.
Well, you always do, and that's why sometimes it hurts my heart when people get ugly because I'm like, Because I mean, your linemen, they're out there in the sleet and the cold and the rain, and they're working, and you're gonna say that?
Well, I'd made a little post
I loved it.
Sunday about the keyboard warriors that I Scott Desolé and I talk about this a lot. I ask him sometimes how he deals with that, but that's the term that he coined, that phrase in my vocabulary. Keyboard warriors. You can say whatever you want to behind the keyboard. It used to be, and I'll go back to what we started with Jim Sasser days. It used to be if you were mouthing about something, you said it at the beauty shop, or the barber shop, or the cafe, or somewhere like that. Now, or you might have written a letter to the editor. Now you've just got this platform where folks can say what they want to, and that's the downside, I guess, of social media. I love social media. I'm a huge advocate of telling our story, but you'll have some folks that like to troll and keep something stirred up. Um, I think it's just a fabulous tool for us to use. And I tell my folks all the time, if all we're talking about is outages on our social media page, where somebody needs to go, because we've got too many good things going on.
You have a ton of good things.
Just to tell the bad stuff.
Well, it's helpful. You know, we always laugh when the power goes off. Oh, just look at Mike Partin's Facebook page.
Well, I may not be as accessible.
I know, this is changing things.
May not be as accessible as I have been in the past, but.
Oh, that's so okay. Well, I try to remind folks, like in Montego, we have some, challenges with new and old.
That's right.
Right? You know, it's just the way it is. And some folks are used to being ugly. And where they came from. That's just how they operate. It's in their culture. I don't know.
I think that's part of it.
It's a culture. You know how Trump is from New York. Well, all New Yorkers are pretty combative.
Yep.
It's just how they do it. And so, I try to remind folks is that, you get behind there and you talk ugly like that, you're going to see Mike Partin in a pig or something.
Yeah.
I mean, you're going to see that person. And if you've gotten ugly enough, you're going to remember that name and you're going to remember that face and never burn a bridge.
Not out here in rural America. This is not Brooklyn.
Yeah.
You just can't go around insulting folks all the time. And I don't see that. I'm not saying I see that. I see that much. Folks get emotional. But
we're all neighbors, man.
We're all neighbors. I'm used to getting chewed out along the way. Somebody's not cussing me during the day, I feel like nobody cares.
You're so funny. I just know that I'm on your same substation or whatever. So if the power goes out, I'm like, Mike will be on it in a second. So.
Yeah, you're on my same tab.
I love it. All right. So speaking of power outages,
I think tromp through the woods behind your house a time or two when
absolutely
those big tall trees get on it.
Oh, gosh. And there's nothing that you can do. We have trees, and do you want like 100 foot right away?
I would like that, but but it's not too sightly.
It's not sightly, and so I don't know. We just have to adapt. So speaking of power outages, last time we talked was the Generac.
Yeah,
exciting. Let's talk about that.
Oh, thank you for bringing that up. Actually, we have had liftoff for our Generac program. If folks are interested, they can call. So Mike Birdwell works for us. He really helped build our fiber business. As you know, we're in the high-speed internet business in areas where the telephone co-op doesn't serve. Been hugely successful for us. And Mike Birdwell, who worked for Ben Lomond for a number of years, was instrumental in helping me get that off the ground. So his title is Manager of Ancillary Services, and so he says that really, in layman terms, means other duties is assigned, and he just does
Special Forces.
So he's helping, and this will go through our propane division, which is actually based here on the plateau. And if you haven't been by our new propane office, certainly go by there. I think it's just a great addition to the community.
Beautiful.
It's right beside our Tracy City office. But you can call Mike at 423-837-5076.
And I have it in my phone, so holler at me if you need it.
Yeah, 837-5076, 423. He's at our South Pittsburgh office. And we actually just put one in Monteagle, right down the street from the Mountain Goat, as a matter of fact.
Really? Who'd you put it in for?
Sharon Patton.
Nice.
And her daughter Laura at their house there. Matter of fact, during the outage Saturday night, my days are running together. So may have been into Sunday morning. TVA, we lost the TVA transmission line.
Yeah, the whole of Grundy.
But I was actually going to check on some trees that were down at Heather Winton's down there. And I went by Sharon's house and the lights were on, and So anyway, it made me pretty proud because I know
Yeah.
Sharon's facing a few little health challenges right now.
Well,
so,
that's the issue is that if someone's on oxygen or has some
Yeah.
kind of medical device, these are invaluable.
yeah, they are. Um, we plan to finance those.
That's right.
I'm not ready to launch that part. It'll be just like our heat pump financing, which is I just think it's just a fantastic addition to our portfolio. I'm an all the above
All the
approach
above.
energy guy, but I've also tried to I guess balance our portfolio as well. We're in the internet business, we're in the propane business. I've tried to diversify our bottom line over the years. So that's
Well,
just a great addition, I think, to our propane division.
so uh, you can, when I call Mike, what am I going to do? I'm going to say I want a Generac.
Yeah. So you say I want to get a quote on a Generac, and that's the brand, Generac generators. We have a couple different sizes. They're whole house generators. It's not like the ones you go to Lowe's and plug into a few things. These come with an automatic transfer switch,
Which is huge.
which disconnects you from the power grid when the power goes off. It's all automatic, and nothing you have to do. Just sit back and continue to enjoy your lights and heat or air
Just
or
we don't
whatever
even
it
know
is.
it's going to, it's just.
And we'd love them to all be on propane since we're in the propane business. But you can hook them to natural gas as well if somebody's like Sharon that lives in the city of Montego and has access to it. So there's a lot of great opportunities there, I think, for folks, and it's kind of a peace of mind thing.
It really
I,
is.
I wish the lights never went out, but say what you want. The storms in our part of the country are a lot more violent than they feel like they've been in years past, and you know, we as we experience these large outages and tornadoes and ice storms, you know, there's not many times the power's been out for days, but it's going to happen. I mean, if you look at the Weather Channel, and I do a lot, that's a boring life I lead. That and C-SPAN.
I watched Chase Bryant. He's my new hero. C-SPAN.
A few miles down the road in Alabama, Georgia, I mean, it's going to be weeks before the power's restored in some of those places. So even though we're pretty fortunate here where we are in the country, there are going to be prolonged outages. And if folks want peace of mind, then that's what we offer to them.
See, that's what it should be. Just off the ballpark, I have a 2,000 square foot house. What kind of size would I need for something like that?
Yeah, so, you got 24 kW somewhere in through there, just kind of a ballpark. That's 22s, 24s, 26s, 26 on the upper end. But that's going to run about anything you want in your house.
I mean, really.
If you have a prolonged ice storm or tornado, and say the TVA transmission line gets tore down with a tornado, it's beyond our control to fix, and you're not going to put those towers up in 30 minutes time.
Yeah, those things are huge.
So it's going to take some time. You take care of your deep freezes and your deep freezer, refrigerator, your perishable items, plus have some comforts too. Heater, air running, your cooktop, those kind of things.
Yeah, because I remember, was it?
Charge your phone. Lord, folks can't.
Well, gosh,
they can't live without their phone.
Isn't that someone when Chase does his little updates? He's like, charge your phones.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, good point.
Yeah.
You forget that that's important.
Yeah. Doesn't take long to run it down when you're looking at it 24/7.
No, it doesn't.
I wish I could put mine down more. I think we probably all should help us all sleep better if we laid them down for a little bit.
Yeah, but you go out and play with those cows. That's your downtime.
What is it? What is that term? FOMO, fear of missing out. My kids.
Yeah, but you've got a lot
fear of
going
missing
on.
out.
Yeah, you've got a lot going on though.
And a lot of folks do contact me through Facebook, through
Yeah.
Messenger. So if there's an outage going on, I certainly try to get to those and try to respond to folks. I take a lot of pride in that. I'm just a
See, that's
kid
huge.
from Pelham.
That's huge. I don't think there is any. Although Mayor Brady comes on here once a week, and I'm thrilled to pieces. But you are so responsive to anyone who reaches out, and so gracious. I'm not used to that in a real world scenario. So thank you.
You're more than welcome.
It's important. All right. So I've got to talk about this water thing. Georgia wants our water.
Oh, are they back on that?
They're back on it.
Ah, okay.
It seems to hit the legislature every
few
year,
years.
2 years. Well, they're back at it.
Yeah.
What do you think about that?
So they're talking about right over there in Marion County that the state line was moved somewhere back in the eons of time, and that they should have access to the Tennessee River. I say, try to come and get it. I think Tennessee should sell them some water. Probably. I mean, if
Okay.
I'm sure Atlanta is hungry for water.
I guarantee you they're hurting.
That whole area between Chattanooga and Atlanta is just coming together and growing just leaps and bounds. A lot of folks are moving to the south. I'm sure they're hungry for water.
They are hungry for water. Remember back, I'm going to hit you with different topics. High-speed rail between Atlanta, Chattanooga, and Nashville, is that still?
It's talked about. I don't see that going on. I'll tell you what we need worse than anything. We need to. They need to be talking about adding some lanes on the interstate between the foot of Mont Eagle to Chattanooga is something I think they ought to be working on. You 4 lanes. There's so much traffic on 24, and I live off of 24 where our farm is. But since we've been there, and the 20 years that I've lived where I live now, it feels like 10 times as much traffic, and a lot of that is truck traffic. I think Chattanooga may be the logistics hub of the cosmic center of the universe.
So it seems.
But they need to be talking about widening the interstate coming into Chattanooga. And maybe they are, and that's something I'm not privy to, but gosh, that's what they ought to be working on.
It's a nightmare. Even if it rains, you guarantee there's a
somebody's upside down on their head.
Yeah. But even in a pretty day and sunny and 70, you could have just a backup.
Yeah, so we're fortunate here to be able to have access to 2 good airports. Mm-hmm. I love Chattanooga Airport because you can park right out front and go right in, and Nashville is big and huge, and you can get anywhere from Nashville.
Is that where you fly out for DC?
When I go to DC, and I'll be up there next week I usually fly out of Nashville because there's so many options. There's every airline's going to DC several times a day. Mm-hmm. So, a lot of times I can go up in the morning, I can catch the 6 o'clock flight to DC, and I can come home that night. I mean, there's that many options for me. Chattanooga's a little limited when it comes to DC. Now, if I'm going to, Des Moines, Iowa for a meeting, and I've got to go through Atlanta anyway, I like to go out of Chattanooga. Yeah. If I got to fly to Atlanta anyway, Chattanooga is an easy hop. Mm-hmm. Now the time change buzzes you up just a little bit, but
is there any international things that touch you?
Oh gosh, yes. I'm so glad you brought that up.
I just am thinking. I got you here.
So we have a huge international program, NRECA, National Electric Co-op Association, NRECA International. I went to Guatemala this past year. I don't know if I've been on here since I've been to Guatemala, but we have been the impetus to to start rural electric co-ops all across the globe, and it's something that we're pretty proud of. Started under the Kennedy administration back in the day. That's going to give me a chance to get around to USAID. We've worked with the locals, and in Guatemala, gosh, we've started a dozen electric co-ops out in the countryside. We're in Africa. Worked a lot when Senator Corker was in office with Electrify Africa. We've been in Bolivia, Costa Rica, Pakistan, Sri Lanka. I mean, the Philippines, we've got a 50-year relationship with the Philippines. As a matter of fact, just had lunch with the electric administrator, Secretary of Energy, I guess you would say, for the Philippines last week when I was in Atlanta.
Wow.
So going to Guatemala, flew into Guatemala City, and I'll say this: John Jacobs, my neighbor in Pelham, John, he was attaché for the Secretary of Agriculture in Central America in his career. That's how he ended his career. His office was in Guatemala City, and he served. He just had a great career.
He lives in Pelham?
Oh yeah, he's one of my neighbors. Retired Foreign Service attaché. Great gentleman. I love him, but he makes homemade wine, so we have a great time talking through some of those issues. Anyway, back to Guatemala. We're working out in the countryside, and we were in the highlands of Guatemala, and we built these electric co-ops, and then we have these groups that come from all these states across the country, and they just keep expanding to the next community, a little village up in the mountains. And we're all over the country working with a thing called the Confederation of Co-ops, which is the coffee growers co-op, the electric co-ops, textile co-op. The co-ops are a big thing. And we go work with the locals, set the poles, just like we did it here back in the 40s,
Back in the day.
and early 50s in this country. And I've said this in an interview I did after I got back from Guatemala. We're only a couple generations removed here in southern Appalachia from where those folks are.
Mm-hmm.
Just a couple generations removed.
Mm-hmm.
You know, my grandparents grew up without electricity and electricity in their home and running water, and we're just a couple generations removed from that. So it's pretty near and dear to a country boy like me to be able to go and make a difference in these places around the globe. Now, the underlying factor of that, and the big picture, global picture that you talked about, if we're able to make life better for those folks, and we're talking a community where I was in the highlands of Guatemala, where the kids and the ladies get up at 4 in the morning and they take their corn down to a diesel generator, corn grinder, or they're doing it by hand, and their whole day is subsistence living. And if we can bring electricity to them, it raises their standard of living. And so instead of trying to come across a border to the United States, their standard of living is increased at home, and they're not going to need to go anywhere else.
Mm-hmm.
Things are better where they are because of us.
Mm-hmm.
Part of our funding comes from USAID, and you and I differ a little bit on this. I am not an isolationist. I really think that we have to have a global presence around the world. If we're not there, somebody's going to be. And we certainly don't need it to be China. It needs to be us filling the void, making the difference, not somebody else. So I've seen firsthand the difference that makes. Now, 40% of our funding comes from USAID, or did. All those dollars have been pulled back. So we hope that the administration, and a lot of this now is under Secretary Rubio. Marco Rubio is a great friend to electric co-ops.
Mm-hmm.
He was a champion for helping us put electricity in these areas and using this USAID money. He's a champion of that. He's spoken publicly about it many, many times. So we hope when the dust settles that they've been able to trim away some of the waste, fraud, and abuse that they claim was taking place, and they really see the great things that American dollars have been able to make a difference around the globe. And it really strengthens us and our posture where we are in the face of the world. And some of those dollars will start coming back to projects that really make a difference. And I've seen that firsthand.
Well, I mean, me personally, I think that's a possibility once they explode it and get rid of.
That's a painful process to go through.
It's painful, but Mike, if they hadn't put all that crazy stuff in, we wouldn't be here right now. People just had enough of the crazy stuff. You being a rural fella, it was crazy.
There are some crazy things that happen out there, and I try to be a common sense, moderate, centrist. Not much place for me in either party.
Nope.
But that's
not
okay.
Right now.
Not well. I may use this platform to make a bid for something down the road. So we'll see.
Well, I figured that you would. We've talked about that
Yeah,
for a very
we'll
long time. I mean, it makes sense. You're a great representative. It just you got to wait for that crazy train.
Yeah.
To whatever.
That's right. But back to your point, we have a huge international presence across the globe,
right?
Because the public power model, the co-op business model, works in not only rural America. We've proven that for 90 years, but it really works across the globe too. When you've got local people come together and say, we want to make our community better. We do. We don't need folks from Timbuktu to tell us. We want to help launch this and do it ourselves, and that's what we've seen. I'll tell you, it just really opened my eyes to the difference that we make around the world and around the globe. And I'll be back in probably Guatemala probably this summer.
Super exciting. Yeah, I mean, I agree with you, honestly. It just, it's just like buying a company and taking it over and cutting the flow and finding out where all the flow is going and then build it back better. I know.
Wow. Yeah, I hope
You're
we
welcome.
got that. I hope we got that on tape.
One day we'll talk politics, but seriously, have we missed anything? This big president of this, I mean, this is a big deal. I mean, no lie. I know I goof with you, and we should put a sign up home with Mike Partin, and maybe we will someday. But it's a big deal, and thank you. I mean, for a small Pelham boy and a small rural cooperative to be president, that's a big deal.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to serving. We're in 48 states around the country, and everybody's got all different kinds of issues, and but they're good issues, and it's good work. I mean, that's the thing, and I tell my team all the time, do good work. Let's do good things, and good people doing good things can really make a difference in the world. And I'm excited for the work that we do. NRECA, our CEO that we have there, and the team just live it and breathe it every day. And I'm excited to see where the journey takes me.
Well, keep us posted.
Yeah.
Now you've got the booking app, so if there's anything, you
Pretty
can
fancy.
You can even call in during that period
Okay.
of time if you're out and about and what have you. Yeah, super easy. We're so proud of you.
Thank you.
I mean, seriously.
Thank you.
And you were able to do it here and show it how it's done, and now you can show other folks.
Well, I talk to young managers all the time and new employees. Uh, That's part of this gig is working with new folks around the country, and you have to be engaged. You can't be removed from your community and expect to make a difference. You can't make a difference by just posting stuff on social media.
Mm-mm.
You got to roll your sleeves up. You got to be engaged and involved, and that goes for everybody, not just folks like you and I that have a presence in the community. It's everybody. Um, Find the place that you can be involved. And you mentioned about these folks that are moving in. They've got time and resources. Get involved, whether it's your church or you know whatever it is. Get involved and help make a difference, make it better.
It's so easy in the small rural areas.
Oh heck yeah, where everybody's begging for volunteers.
Right? And
Yeah,
and everybody can do one thing.
that's right.
So, all right, last note. Who killed JFK?
So President Musk, or I'm sorry, President Trump.
Elon, baby!
um,
Love him.
that may have been a Freudian slip, but it's probably closer to the truth than anything.
Whatever.
President Trump says he's going to release some of that data. I'm not sure what good that does, other than who shot JR kind of folks that want to know.
It makes Bobby Kennedy happy.
Yeah. Anyway, I would say probably the Russians in collusion with the mafia probably had killed.
Oh, well, it could be. It
Yeah.
could be. You don't think our intelligence community is involved?
No, I've got a lot of faith in the government.
Okay. All right. Gotcha. I'm not going to go to Fox. I swear to goodness. I'm
trying to bait you.
I know you
I'm
are.
trying to
You're
bait
doing
you.
so good. You know I am giddy beyond belief by this, but I'm a libertarian. So
Yes, you are a libertarian, and I'm more of a moderate Republican, moderate Democrats. We're all right there in the.
it'd be nice to have a Bill Clinton, Newt Gingrich kind of
Yeah.
thing going on again, right?
Yeah.
Where people were normal in the center, a little far, little right, a little left. It all was like normal, and then all of a sudden it got crazy.
All of a sudden, it got crazy really on both sides.
Yeah, okay, I'll agree with that. Although I'm really liking the crazy on my side.
I know you
I am
are.
loving the crazy on
I know
my
you are.
side.
It's all I can do not to post comment
I know,
back to you.
I know.
Nobody can ever win a Facebook battle
You can't.
of comments, but sometimes I have to keep scrolling.
You're so gracious, and that's the way to do it because I've learned not to do it as well.
Yeah,
Like there's some just things I just go,
yeah.
and I'm like, it's not worth it, losing a friendship.
No, heavens no.
I block people though.
I don't think I have.
Good for you.
I may keep scrolling. I may not agree with them, and I may roll my eyes and say, "What the heck are you thinking?" But they're still my friends, and folks that I've grown up with. Just because I disagree with somebody, doesn't mean that I need to defriend them. I disagree with folks on politics and religion. I grew up in a household where you talk religion and politics,
Me too.
and there was no taboo to that. And I love the podcast that the Howard Baker School of Government does through the university. It's called "You Might Be Right," and it's Governor Bredesen and Governor Haslam, and they're talking. They're on opposite sides of the fence on a lot of issues, and they've got folks. They're talking everything from climate change to gun control, and they're talking really hot topics that people get really emotional about. But what they're trying to show is that you can have a civil discussion without throwing your sucker in the mud and getting down and hating somebody. And that's the politics that I miss, is that when you can have a good discussion and you and I can get right up in each other's face, but that's just it. It's a discussion. It's not a part where we're losing friendship over because we can't agree on certain things. I guarantee you most folks that in politics, they probably agree on more
I agree.
than what they think. It's the same way with religion. You know, I'm Church of Christ. I take a lot of pride in that.
You're the
But
only one going to heaven, Mike.
but you know, the rest of you better get on board.
But right.
But
yeah.
what I'm saying is, I feel very strongly about certain aspects of the scripture that I read that other people don't interpret the same way. I don't, you know, not like them anymore. And you know, religion's probably caused more wars or in the history of time than politics has, to be quite honest with you. So I think we need to learn to be able to talk as friends and neighbors and still have disagreements and not hate each other. I would like to see us dial the rhetoric back a little bit. I'm not sure how we do that in this country at this time.
Because we're all giddy. You know, us folks who voted for him are giddy. It's hard not to post it, Mike. Come on.
I don't know. Some days I sit like Secretary Rubio did and have a look on my face. Like, really?
I know. I'm trying. Well, and last question, I swear to goodness. We got a governor's race coming up.
Yeah.
And so, you know, on my end, it's whoever Trump endorses.
Really?
Is going to be who I support.
So if President Trump declares that Mickey Mouse should be the Republican nominee, that's who you'll support?
But he's not going to.
But I'm just saying, if what you're telling me is no matter who he endorses, that's your person.
Yep.
Why? Well, you can think for yourself, can't you? What if there's a person that you really believe in that would be a great governor? And a governor has to be a manager.
Right.
I mean, above all else, a governor has to be a good manager.
Right.
And say, yeah, I don't see that. I can disagree with the president on an issue.
And I think we can disagree with that. My viewpoint, you know, I went to the RNC convention.
Yep.
And it takes it takes everyone to. We all agreed on one agenda. Like Republicans are like herding cats. We all think for ourselves. It's it's
well,
a free-for-all.
especially you all that are libertarians. In the party.
I mean, there's no right. And in Tennessee, it's hard. You know, it's you're a rhino or you're blah blah. There's always silly stuff, and we never are really good like Democrats used to be. Right? There was lockstep. And there's some beauty in that. So it is interesting to see Trump, everyone agreeing what he's doing, at least in our camp.
Now, quietly they're not. They may say it.
I don't know. I think
I'm
everyone,
in D.C. a lot.
I know, and then D.C. is a whole nother animal, right? It's not in the heartland. It's a different animal. You know that. I think the agenda, so if he blows up Department of Ed, right, comes to Tennessee has a bureaucracy issue. I mean...
Yeah, I saw your post about Tennessee.
You know it
Doge.
does. You know, have you ever worked with TDOT? I mean, have you ever worked with Department of Ed? It's a bureaucracy that may need a little bit of a shakeup. So if someone comes in on that premise, let's just do better. Let's compete. Free market. Let's compete. Let's do better as a state. And I think that's what Trump is challenging all the states to do, is to be better. Then it will take someone with that mindset, because that's what his next agenda is on all his states, is to everybody get on to the lean and mean and America's first. So that person needs to have that agenda.
So, your question to me is, who do I think will be?
Who do you think? Who do you want?
Who do I want?
Yeah.
You put me on the spot.
I know that's a tough one. 'Cause we got to start thinking about it.
I'll tell you who really understands rural Tennessee and who understands, and I'm purely speaking as an electric utility person, public power person, and as a farmer. My other side gig. I like John Rose. And I'll tell you why I like John Rose. He understands those issues. John Rose has got enough money to do whatever he wants to outside of politics, but he understands rural Tennessee. And I think we need somebody that has their ear to the ground. And, Marcia, Senator Blackburn, is she going to run? Is she not going to run? She's very close to the Trump camp. She went to the Super Bowl. I'm not sure if Doge has looked at the dollars that they've spent going to those activities or not. But are you going to take? Are you going to take? Are you going to take any bait I'm putting out there?
You're so good. That's a whole other show.
She's very close to the administration for sure. And she's got she's already won state race. She was the first female United States Senator from Tennessee. Does she want to be the first female governor in Tennessee? Is that the box she wants to check? I'm not sure what her objectives are. I'm a Bill Hagerty fan too. I don't think Senator Hagerty is going to run. If I was a United States Senator, you would have to dynamite me
Seriously.
out of the United States Senate.
Seriously.
I think that is the best of all political worlds, is being a United States Senator.
That's where the statesmen are.
That's where the state and what I see in D.C. and I hope Congressman Desley is not listening, because he'll chastise me. Because I know how both houses feel, but a lot of times in the Senate, they'll come to some resolution over there. It's not as partisan. The House, you got a lot more members, so it's a whole different dynamic, to be quite honest with you.
It is.
But if I was a United States Senator, you would have to dynamite me out of there.
Seriously.
I would be there till I was 100.
You're in hog heaven.
I'd be like Mitch McConnell.
Yeah.
Take me out in a pine
Come
box.
on, Mike. It's time to go home.
But I really like, if you look at the ones that are saying they're running, and that's who you got to look at. Who's running and who's given the signs that they may run, who's kind of already got some teams put in place. I like John Rose.
Well, I have his blanket. I went to his soiree.
Oh, yeah.
In D.C. and I have his. He gave great swag.
His wife Chelsea used to work for the electric co-ops in Tennessee.
I did not know
and
that.
Actually, his wife Chelsea has a Grundy County connection.
What?
She is the niece of Jack and Betty Keeling.
No.
Jack passed away a few years ago, but Betty still lives here in Grundy County. He worked for Soil Conservation, and she worked for Farmers Home Administration for years. Beverly Smith there in Pelham. So she's got a Grundy County connection that folks just don't know about. That's Betty's niece, his wife Chelsea.
Well,
Yeah.
we're all kin at some point.
Well, we are here.
I haven't found
My
our
grandmother
branch
was
yet.
a Nunley, so that puts me right in
Was
the
she a
mix.
Nunley? That's right. Okay. All right. Well, it's going to be an interesting race. I think.
Now, who the Democrats going to put
are
forth?
they? Yeah.
I don't see. I don't see anybody talking about it. It's be hard for a Democrat to mount a statewide campaign. The Democrats really have to organize in this state and really come back to more of a center in Tennessee to be able to gain any traction.
And do you think that is even a possibility at this point? Because I agree with you.
It is. It's going to take the right person to be the leader of the state party. to be able to activate these folks. When you lose labor, when you lose folks that are carrying a union card in their pocket to the other party, you're back to ground zero. And so they gotta change their messaging.
I agree.
Quite honestly,
we could talk forever. I'm so sorry. I went to a committee hearing a couple of weeks ago. Bio-waste is an issue, obviously. Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
It is. So it's an issue. And at the committee hearing, Representative Bricken put it up, and Mayor Brady spoke about it, very knowledgeable, it's a tough issue. It's just a tough issue. You choose your farmers, you choose your citizens, all of that. Representative Justin Jones was on that committee.
Uh-huh.
And, I've only seen him from his megaphone days, and I haven't really paid attention. He was our ally in this bill, which I thought was very fascinating.
I think what most people, we're a culture now, Michelle, that bases our decisions not on a discussion and a dialogue and reading about stuff. We base it on sound bites.
Mm-hmm.
And by golly, we'll fight over something that we think we heard somebody say that's fact.
Mm-hmm.
And with the coming of AI, you can't believe anything, really.
Yeah, you can't.
Nothing
at
you
all.
read, and probably nothing that you see anymore. But and that we can talk about that sometime too. But I think what most people don't understand, and we see this in DC all the time, is that 90% of everything most people agree on. Who gets the media attention are the Marjorie Taylor Greens over here and the AOCs over here. And not that sometimes they're not saying stuff that needs to be said on either side, but the real work are these folks that are Democrats and Republicans that are rolling up their sleeves and are working to try to do good for the people they serve.
Right.
And they get a lot of things done. Folks don't hear about those things. We can go to a committee hearing on our issues, rural electric co-op issues in D.C. Our CEO is Jim Matheson. He's a former member of Congress from Utah. He was a Democrat, last Democrat to probably hold the congressional seat in Utah for a long time. But he was a blue dog and, just kept getting elected in a Republican district. So he can go into a committee hearing and Democrats and Republicans both praise him. And they'll both work with him to try to come to a solution. Most folks have common sense. Just because you don't hear about it on CNN or Fox or Newsmax doesn't mean good work's not being done.
Yeah, because I feel 100% being involved, Grundy County is doing fantastic.
Yeah.
In the whole scheme of things, they're small enough to where they can make great. We have no debt in the schools.
Yeah, that's unheard of.
Like in the state, if not the country. We only have one debt, the jail.
Yeah.
In the county, that's a great position to have.
And Grundy really has a low tax rate. The electric co-op, we pay a thing called payment in lieu of taxes. Mm-hmm. It's property taxes, but it's a different name. And we pay a couple $1 million or so in payment in lieu of taxes. And matter of fact, I was looking at those numbers because we just paid those. They were just due. Grundy's got one of the lowest tax rates of any place around.
Which is why people are moving.
Yeah, and Tennessee doesn't have an income tax. That's what's driving a lot of folks to Tennessee is no income tax.
Yeah, but we have infrastructure, water, sewer.
But we need to work on these roads.
And roads.
Yeah.
We have huge issues.
Yeah.
So, we've got our challenges with the increased, everyone wants to be here.
That's right.
But that's okay, we'll work together.
I used to think I knew a lot of people, but dang, I don't know.
It's weird.
I don't know anybody.
Weird. But it's okay, we're going to embrace them. They're going to be a part of the fabric of our community. And then that's how we're going to do it.
That's right.
All right, any last words, Mike? I'm so excited.
No, gosh, thanks. I don't know how long we've stayed on here.
I don't know what time
it's
is it?
9 o'clock. We may be the only two left standing.
We're here are the only two left standing. Well, there's just so much, and once again, we're just so flippant. No matter if we're on different sides on some issues,
Yeah,
I'm
we
so
probably
proud.
agree on more than what you think.
We do.
You're a little more libertarian than I am.
I know. You're very logical and very wonderful.
There's not a lot of difference between moderate Republicans and moderate Democrats, I don't think.
There's not, but there's not any around.
Well, you're looking at one.
I know. It's okay to be a dinosaur.
Yeah. Don't call me a rhino.
No, gosh, no, I hate that word, honestly. We're a big tent in our party, and everyone's going to have to move over it. Yeah, we've moved into a big tent. Okay. Trump is like an Andrew Jackson. Andrew Jackson was a big tent.
Okay.
All right. Well, we're going to send Mike out to spread joy and sunshine wherever he goes. Thank you for all that you do.
Thanks for the conversation this morning. I think it's been we've covered a lot of bases, from politics to global international issues, and I look forward to serving American Electric Co-op. It is a big tent for sure. There, 900 members, 48 states, 42 million consumers, a lot of big issues coming down the pike, and look forward to working with the administration and try to work through those.
We're gonna do it.
Yeah,
we're all gonna get along because Tennessee is number one in the United States. All right, we're gonna go on a quick break. We've got Tim and Mac in the wings, so we may not get to the phones today, and I do apologize. But we're gonna go on a quick break. And then we'll be back tomorrow. Mayor Brady comes on Wednesdays. And, I appreciate y'all. Holler if you need anything. I got Mike Birdwell's phone number. As always, thanks for watching Morning on the Mountain. Appreciate you.
Thanks, guys.
Psalm 84 to the choir master, according to the Gittith, a psalm of the sons of Korah. How lovely is your dwelling place, O Lord of hosts! My soul longs, yes, faints for the courts of God. My heart and flesh sing for joy to the living God. Even the sparrow finds a home, and the swallow a nest for herself, where she may lay her young. At your altars, O Lord of hosts, my King and my God. Blessed are those who dwell in your house, ever singing your praise, Selah. Blessed are those whose strength is in you, and whose heart are the highways to Zion. As they go through the valley of Baca, they make it a place of springs. The early rain also covers it with pools. They go from strength to strength. Each one appears before God in Zion. O Lord, God of hosts, hear my prayer. Give ear, O God of Jacob, Selah. Behold our shield, O God. Look on the face of your anointed. For a day in your courts is better than 1,000 elsewhere. I would rather be a doorkeeper in the house of my God than dwell in the tents of wickedness. For the Lord God is a sun and shield. The Lord bestows favor and honor. No good thing does he withhold from those who walk uprightly. O Lord of hosts, blessed is the one who trusts in you. May we have a desire to be with and in the presence, you could say, the household of God, though our conception of that may be a little different now. But may we have this desire to be where God is, as the psalmist had. I'm J.D. Cantrell, not a perfect guy. I'm just a guy who loves Jesus and tries to follow after him. And I hope that you may be blessed.
Tracy Clinic, located at 740 Main Street in Tracy City, specializes in family medicine. Nurse practitioner Devin Land Lampley is now seeing patients. Call today for an appointment at 592-4242. Open 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. Monday through Thursday. That's the Tracy Clinic, 592-4242.
Sequatchie Valley Electric Cooperative is here to serve you in your business or in your home. Pay your electric bill in the comfort of your own home with SVEC's new online billing service. Wouldn't it be nice to know in advance how much to budget for your electric bill each month? Visit us at one of our convenient offices or go online to www.svalleyec.com. Sequatchie Valley Electric, providing electrical service to over 33,000 homes and businesses in all or portions of Bledsoe, Grundy, Marion, Sequatchie, Coffee, Hamilton, Ray, and Van Buren counties in Tennessee. SVEC, staying up with today and working for tomorrow.
TennCare's new diaper benefit helps our youngest members and their families stay healthy and happy. If your child is younger than 2 and has TennCare or Cover Kids, they can get up to 100 diapers every month at no cost. To get diapers, visit a participating pharmacy. You don't need a prescription. Just show your child's pharmacy card at the counter. For newborns without a card, you can use the parent's pharmacy card. The pharmacy staff will check to see if you qualify and help you get up to 100 diapers for a month. TennCare will cover a variety of diaper brands and sizes to meet your child's needs. You can find a list of covered brands on the TennCare diaper webpage.
Diapers are available at Mike's Pharmacy, located at 740 Main Street in Tracy City. That's Mike's Pharmacy, 592-9190.
Piggly Wiggly, a supermarket chain since 1916, operates more than 600 locally owned stores, including the Monteagle location that now stocks the largest selection of fine wine, domestic and import beer in the area. Piggly Wiggly's farm fresh fruit is a sweet deal at everyday low prices. Piggly Wiggly stocks carefully selected, always fresh vegetables from the common to the unusual. All of the organic products we sell meet strict USDA guidelines. The Pig has a large meat department that to this date custom cuts and wraps its pork, chicken, and certified Angus beef to your request. Certified Angus beef brand is a cut above USDA Prime Choice and Select. With a large dairy selection of fresh milk and cheese products and your favorite drink products, you will never go home thirsty from the Pig. Visit the Piggly Wiggly Deli and put in your order for an outstanding selection of cheeses, salads, and deli meat products from Boar's Head brand and more. Be sure to check out our weekly special circular for great deals. That's the Piggly Wiggly of Monteagle, Tennessee.